Hello and welcome to the Astro Vibe of the Week. This is a powerful Pisces lunar eclipse week. And I want to start by taking a moment to have you reflect on how much you have grown, how much you have evolved, how much you have learned all the way since September of 2016, because that is the last time that we had this Pisces lunar eclipse energy. And when we are in eclipse season, it is said to bring about closure endings. And we all know that when there's closure and endings, on the other side is a new beginning. And it's said that what wants to leave or what wants to exit, what wants to be shed, what wants to be cleared, when we do it during an eclipse or it happens during an eclipse, it is said to be fated. Now, that being said, I believe in the mix between fate and free will. I am not an astrologer who thinks that everything is fated. That would be wild because it would remove our ability to have willpower. It would remove our ability to create our lives. And that's just not true. We are co-creating with universe. And that means that we have the power to heal ourselves. And we have the power to create the kind of lives that we really want. So when I think about this Pisces energy, it really allows me to expand upon the truth and the law of importance of co-creation, that we are creating our lives with our thoughts. And sometimes we end up telling a story in our minds about something that happened or about someone else. We create these very elaborate stories in our minds, and it's very imaginative. It's a wonderful trait to have a great imagination, but sometimes it can hinder us when we don't actually know the truth or have the evidence of whatever it is that we are creating in our minds. Okay, this happens when we make judgments about other people. It happens when we make assumptions, when we don't actually take the time to ask and communicate and find out the answers. And this can happen with this Pisces energy. And I see this eclipse as a reclamation of our power, a reclamation of our sovereignty, the ability to step out of toxic situations, the ability to become more and more conscious. That's a Pisces theme, consciousness, becoming aware of the illusions of the mind, this matrix that we're born into, where we learn from a really young age to protect ourselves with beliefs about people who are different than us. We come into this world sometimes being told that we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not pretty enough, we're not this or that enough. And as Saturn right now is in Pisces, and Saturn is taking responsibility for your life, taking accountability for your thoughts. Pisces comes with this deep, beautiful connection to the unseen realm, to the magic, to oneness. At the highest frequency is like the oneness of it all. And the lowest frequency is illusions that don't serve. So this is like a stripping of those illusions as we move through this eclipse portal. It can be, if you want it to be, a release of feeling like you're not good enough or you're not worthy, a release of toxicity around you. And that could look so many different ways. It could look like bringing in forgiveness and not holding on to judgment and pain. It could look like removing something from your diet that you know causes you harm, like even drinking alcohol is a great example of toxicity that we put into our body. We can remove that. Anything that might be an addiction that we lean on so that we don't really have to face our reality, or feel these big feels that we all have, this is the offering of this Pisces full moon eclipse, is we all have, as human beings, toxicity that shows up in some way. We all have light and we all have shadow. And checking in with yourself and asking, what parts of me am I holding on to that might be toxic, that might be bringing me toxicity? I'm going to give you a personal example, especially because 2016, which is when this last Pisces full moon eclipse occurred, I was very deep in the throes of self-destruction, addiction, and starvation and eating disorder. And I felt like I could control my life if I stopped eating. And I would look at myself in the mirror and I would think horrible things like, oh my God, you're so fat, you're so disgusting, you're so ugly. Saying this out loud is so painful to hear, and I send my past self so much love, and I send anybody just such deep reservoirs of love who might be talking to themselves in that way. That is a toxic behavior. You are destroying your own self with that. So this is a rise in healing ourselves, in choosing to take steps towards removing those limiting beliefs, those old patterns, those toxic thoughts, those toxic behaviors, toxic people around you. We're all connected. The eighth chakra is the collective field of energy, and we're all in it. But we have the ability to tune our minds to a certain frequency. Just like you tune a radio station, if you don't like a song, change the channel. We all have the power at any moment to change the channel, to make a difference in our lives. And with this Pisces Virgo axis, that's what we're doing. We lean into remember the potential and possibility and the magic that we can bring into our lives, especially when we go through the process of taking accountability for our thoughts and our behaviors, leaning into practices that are healing, that help us step into our wholeness more, and not giving up our power. This is a Pisces theme. Before the age of Aquarius was, way back, the age of Pisces was I give up my power to someone else, to a guru, to a priest, to a this, to a that. We're not doing that anymore. That's not part of the evolution of the soul. We have power and divinity that runs through. Each and every person has that light that runs through them that connects us with source energy, with the energy of nature. And so you've got all the power in the world to craft your life. And that is Piscean, because the highest frequency is I use my thoughts, I use my imagination, my third eye, my pineal gland, my RAS in the brain, which is your filtration system. I use that to craft my reality. I think beautiful thoughts. I am in a state of gratitude. I feel love, and I heal where I get triggered, where I feel negative emotions. I heal myself. I heal myself. This is the Pisces Virgo axis, because Pisces is the oneness, but Virgo is the self. And it is the healing and the improvement of the self. And we don't want to be rigid about it, like keeping incredibly strict rules around how you eat or how you live or how you whatever. I don't have an exact example of rigidity because I'm just so in the Pisces vibe right now. But Virgo offers us an opportunity to evolve. The whole archetype of this sign is how can we be our healthiest selves? How can we remove the toxicity that keeps us from our purity and from our radiance and our light? And what kind of daily habits can we implement that are going to help us be in our optimal health? You might hear my dog snoring right now, so Sorry about that. She's a bulldog. She's got, a smushed face and she snores. She's gonna distract me, so hold on. Okay. Now, the other potent piece here before I share the astrology on the screen is that we are coming towards a close of the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra. And during these past 18 months of Aries North Node, Libra South Node, we have been experiencing lessons around the Aries growth that we are evolutionarily called towards as a collective. And that is standing up for yourself, it is knowing your power, it is going into the unknown with a courageous energy. So we've been learning about courage in the past 2 years and what we need to do to step into the next chapter of our lives in a more courageous way. That's been going on for the past 2 years. Now, on January 28th of 2025, the nodes of the moon will change and they will move into Pisces as the North Node. Another note here is that Libra South Node, Aries North Node, Aries North Node, Libra South Node, going towards courage, going towards independence, learning about the self, what you need, what you want, that what you need and what you want in life is allowed, that you have the right to be sovereign and to go after it. And that the lower vibrational energies that are being removed from that over these past 2 years are codependency, putting other people's feelings in front of you, trying to protect the situation or environment by micromanaging others' emotions. We are clearing the codependency and the plug-in of having to change ourselves or morph or chameleon to make someone else happy or to make a relationship work. We're not doing that anymore. Now we know ourselves better. Now we know what's good for us and we know what steps to take that are actually in alignment with our soul's evolution. As the nodes change into Pisces, and remember, Pisces is the imagination, your inner vision, your intuition, and the collective consciousness that we all share. So as the nodes move and we're in Pisces, that means that the South Node will be Virgo. And once we step into that place, that January 28th Pisces Virgo axis, we will have 18 months, plenty of opportunity to explore our connection to a higher source of energy, our connection to what is unseen, and cutting away the cords of illusion. And when I say illusion, what I'm talking about is the programs, the beliefs that are ingrained into us as children that are not real. They are illusions. They are malas in Sanskrit, otherwise known as veils. So we'll be pulling the veils back, and this Virgo energy is going to help us elicit healing within ourselves, and it is a very personal journey. It doesn't have to do with anybody else. We won't be healing anybody else. We won't be fixing our partners. We won't be fixing our parents. No, no, no. It is a personal journey. So that's what we're in for. We're in for a ton of growth. And it's starting now with this Pisces lunar eclipse. So let me share the screen and a few other things that are popping up during this eclipse. So we have the sun in Virgo, the healer of the zodiac wheel. It's also, alternative medicine. Like instead of going the Western way of healing, where we see doctors and they maybe prescribe us things, it's how can I heal myself? Maybe I'm looking into Ayurveda. Maybe I'm looking into, eating certain herbs. Maybe I'm looking into having a more whole way that I eat. I'm eating the colors of the rainbow. A more holistic practice in our health and longevity. Maybe you're starting yoga, or you're doing kundalini, or you're adding some sort of spiritual practice that helps you feel health. What is it that you do that ignites the spark of life and health within you? Because again, it's an inside job. 25 degrees sun opposing 25 degrees moon in Pisces. Now, Neptune, which is the planet of dreams, vision, subconscious, illusions, is just a few degrees away from the moon. Neptune rules Pisces. So we have this planetary influence of Neptune on this Pisces full moon. We have a Pisces full moon, and it's not a regular full moon, it's an eclipse full moon. So it's full moon on steroids. And the energy is a wave that's going to go into the next 2 years. Because once that ecliptic moves into Pisces North Node, these are the themes that we will continue to explore, continue to release, continue to heal. The more we release, the more we shed like a snake, the more whole we step into our wholeness, our truth, our light, our power. Now, 10 degrees away from this full moon eclipse in Pisces is Saturn at 15 degrees, also in Pisces. Another layer, so we have a Pisces with a Saturn influence, which is asking us to take that personal responsibility where we know it's important to take it. Have we been honest with ourselves about our needs, about what's healthy for ourselves? Have we been connecting with our higher selves, or have we been acting and reacting in our smaller selves? Anytime Saturn is here, Saturn is asking us to connect to the higher self. And what's the difference between the higher self and the lower self? The lower self exists in reactivity. It is quick to anger. It holds judgments. It holds resentments. It holds frustrations. The higher self is proactive. The higher self can create good boundaries. The higher self can speak to what it needs. It can speak its truth, but in a kind way, in an honest and loving way. I think about Don Miguel Ruiz's 4 agreements when I think about acting in your higher self with Saturn and Pisces. And again, I said clearing addiction, and that could look so many different ways. Something I struggle with, and I don't even know if I struggle with it, but just a personal share is that I watch cartoons at night to fall asleep. Sometimes I judge myself for that. That's very Virgo. Oh, you shouldn't do that. And the judgment does not help me shift into a new behavior. So if you're judging yourself or you're shaming yourself for a behavior, you can just put that aside, because that will not help us either. And this is a Pisces lesson. Pisces wants us to remove the shame and remove the judgment. And when we remove the shame, that's when it's so much easier to make shifts and changes. Because shame is like a prison. Shame is like a jail. Pisces knows that. So it's a very compassionate sign. And you want to be compassionate to yourself. Okay, so we have Saturn in Pisces, Moon in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, all together in this super loose stellium, 3 planets all together. And then we have the moon here. And from the moon is a square to Jupiter in Gemini, the planet of expansion and the planet of wisdom. So we have divine wisdom flowing through Jupiter in Gemini, so through the mind, into our experience. Much easier, we hope, to make choices from the higher self. Make choices from a more loving you. What's the most loving thing that you can do right now for you? Says Jupiter to the moon, Jupiter in Gemini. I want to expand it. Let's make these Pisces energies even bigger. Let's bring this compassion into a place that it's never even been before. The biggest compassion bubble you possibly could have. Not only that, but we also have, and it's a little hard to see here, Pluto in Capricorn making its final flush out of these Capricorn energies, which are right now showing up for me as, the final release of toxicity in our government structures. Not that that's actually going to happen, but this is where my brain is going, releasing toxicity in the government structures, releasing those illusions, lies, things that have not been disclosed, most of which will never be disclosed, right? There's so much that we don't know. Pluto and Capricorn, releasing dynamics, toxic dynamics that you may have with authority or that others may have with your authority and vice versa, because Capricorn is authority. So releasing those toxic layers, releasing toxic layers of the patriarchy, these final layers. And then we have down Uranus and Taurus. Uranus is shaking up our old systems, our old value systems. What once was our value may no longer be. Uranus has been in Taurus for a couple years now, teaching us to loosen up on what we believe, how we believe life should be, what we find valuable. It's shaking us up. It's having us reconsider our values. Venus rules Taurus, right? And Libra. And so we have Uranus in a Venusian sign, shaking up and changing your beliefs about Venusian things like relationship, your relationship to your body, your relationship to food, your relationship to money. All of these get upgraded through Uranus. Uranus wants to bring downloads and insights around upgrades that want to happen, that are waiting for you to step into, but you have to shake shit up, shake the old beliefs up in order for that to happen. And sometimes that comes sideways. Sometimes it comes like in the form of a crisis, or it could come in the form of a teacher. And by teacher, I mean a person that maybe rubs you the wrong way and annoys you and infuriates you, and then you learn about your values and you grow through that situation. That's what I'm talking about. And then we have Virgo, the sun in Virgo. This is a grand trine, a grand earth trine. Sun in Virgo, Pluto in Capricorn, and Uranus in Taurus. A grand earth trine with all of this Piscean water energy is going to assist us in pulling our eighth chakra, pulling our divine connection, pulling our future potential, what we can imagine to be the highest good, pulling it down our chakra system into our grounding cord, into our root, and into the earth. That's what earth does. It helps us ground energies at its highest frequency. It's very generous. It's very supportive. It's very earthy. It's very grounding. It's very demure. Just kidding. I am not demure. All right. So we've got this grounding energy happening. So this is where we take the spiritual lessons, these higher frequency downloads, and we pull them down and we ground them in. And through that grounding, we ensure that the things we're shedding and letting go of stay shed and let go of. And we evolve to the next level of consciousness where things will life continues to life, but we experience it from a new lens and a new perception. And that's why when I ask you to look back to 2016 and 2017, maybe you're revisiting some themes that you were healing with or that you were clearing during that time, and you're at a totally different space now. You're in a totally different perception, going up the vortex, going up the double helix of the DNA code. So pat yourself on the back for the growth you've already done. Even if it feels like just a little, that's amazing. You've experienced growth. That is incredible. Celebrate that. From my heart to yours, I wish you a beautiful healing and cleansing of the most divine sort on this full moon eclipse in Pisces. Take such good care of yourself. If you feel ungrounded, which is very normal during an eclipse, bring your awareness to your feet, because when you bring your awareness to your feet, you bring your awareness to the earth and you can ground. Another thing I like to do is imagine myself as a tree. If you have a bath, it might be nice to take a bath and imagine as the water goes down the drain that you are getting rid of everything that you want to get rid of. It just goes right down the drain. You can even do it when you take a shower. You can even do it when you wash your hands. So we're working with earth and we're working with water. I love you so much. I'm so grateful for you. I will see you on the other side.